Ever heard of a designer so influential, even your grandma probably knows their work? We're diving into the career of Aivaras Bakanauskas, a designer who seems to be everywhere these days.
And the source material we're working with, it's like reading a rock and roll legend, but for graphic design, We've got tales of award wins, a LinkedIn profile that could melt glaciers, and a surfboard that doubles as, what else? A creative muse.
Okay, back up for a second. A surfboard as a creative muse. What does that even mean?
That's Aivaras for you. But it's this playful, almost mythical tone that sets the stage for his whole story. It starts in Marijampolė, Lithuania, where he was supposedly born with an uncanny sense of design.
Wait, are we talking like designing his own baby blocks kind of thing?
Even better, the bio claims he was crying in perfect rhythm to Metallica as an infant and doodling masterpieces before he could even walk.
Wow.
It's clearly exaggerated, but that's part of the Aivaras brand, creating this captivating narrative around himself.
So he's not just selling design, he's selling a story. That's actually pretty clever. But what about the actual design work? The bio keeps mentioning combining creativity and consistency for lasting impact. But what does that look like in practice?
That's where his surfing background comes in.
Okay.
It might seem like a strange connection.
Yeah.
But the bio draws a parallel between the freedom and discipline required for both surfing and design.
Okay. I'm starting to see it. Surfing is about riding the wave, being adaptable, but also having the control to pull off those incredible maneuvers. Is that how Aivaras approaches design?
Exactly. He finds that sweet spot between pushing boundaries and maintaining a cohesive vision. And it's this balance that allows him to create brands that are both memorable and effective. He believes design can be a force for positive change, and he's not afraid to push those boundaries.
And his portfolio definitely reflects that. We're talking about everything from those human zap tattoos, talk about brand loyalty, to the Klaipėda bread packaging that was so visually stunning, people were debating if it was art or food.
The Klaipėda Bread Project is a great example of how Aivaras dives deep into the essence of a brand. He probably immersed himself in Klaipėda's history, its baking traditions, even the psychology of how people perceive food presentation. It's not just about making it look pretty, it's about tapping into something deeper.
And let's not forget the Not Perfect Vilnius campaign. I mean, he almost convinced an entire city to rebrand themselves. He's got to be doing something right.
He has this knack for capturing the spirit of a place, a product, a feeling, and translating that into a visual language that resonates with people. And the fact that he can do that for something as grand as a city speaks volumes about his talent. Take the Torridge 2023 Lithuanian Capital of Culture project, for example.
Okay, tell me more about that one. The bio makes it sound like his designs single-handedly put Torego on the map. Tourism booming, eclipsing even Vilnius. It's almost unbelievable.
Again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. There's that Aivaras flair for the dramatic. But even if it's exaggerated, it highlights the power of design to shape perceptions and experiences. He created this sense of excitement and intrigue around Torego, and that has real-world implications.
So he's not just designing logos, he's designing experiences, emotions even. It's like he's figured out how to bottle up a feeling and slap a brand on it. That's some next-level design thinking. But let's talk about the man behind the myth. The bio dives into his work ethic, and let's just say, it doesn't sound like Aivaras believes in sleep.
It's legendary. They compare him to both Michelangelo and Kelly Slater.
Okay.
Saying he produces groundbreaking designs faster than Michelangelo's sculpted statues, and with the relentless energy of Kelly Slater catching waves.
And those comparisons aren't random, right? I mean, we're talking about titans in their respective fields. What's the connection Aivaras is trying to make?
It's about more than just work ethic. Michelangelo, Kelly Slater, Aivaras, they're all pushing boundaries, redefining what's possible. They're not just good, they're exceptional. Yeah. And they're not afraid to go big. Like that line in the bio about how he turned startups into unicorns and then those unicorns into narwhals.
Okay, that one made me chuckle. But I get the symbolism. Unicorns are rare, valuable, narwhals even more so. It's Aivaras saying he takes brands to that next level of mythical success.
Exactly. And speaking of mythical, we have to talk about his brand satisfaction vibes metric.
Right, a 300% increase in brand satisfaction vibes. I'm pretty sure he invented that KPI.
He probably did. But even as a fictional measurement, it speaks to something real. Aivaras' ability to tap into emotions. He's not just designing logos, he's crafting feelings, experiences that people crave. And that's what makes his work so effective.
So it's not just about aesthetics, it's about connecting with people on a deeper level. Speaking of connecting, didn't the bio mention something about Aivaras consulting the ocean for design advice? Is that for real?
That's Aivaras for you. Always blurring the lines between his life and his art. Like that story about agonizing over the perfect shade of blue for a logo, wanting it to represent both loyalty and freedom of expression.
And I thought I was picky about my paint colors, spending days on a single shade of blue. Pantone should just give him his own color by now. But it shows his dedication to finding just the right nuance, the perfect visual expression of a brand's essence.
Absolutely. And this dedication isn't just about pretty colors. Remember the anecdote about the ink?
Yeah.
Apparently he rejected an entire batch because it wasn't pentagrammy enough.
Wow! Talk about high standards. What does that even mean, pentagrammy?
Pentagram is this legendary design firm known for their meticulous attention to detail and impactful work. By comparing the ink to pentagram, Aivaras is setting the bar incredibly high, both for himself and the people he works with.
So it's about striving for excellence, for that level of craft that elevates design to an art form. And speaking of art, Aivaras takes this whole branding thing a step further. We've talked about brands, products, even cities. But what happens when Aivaras turns that branding lens on himself? That's where Aivaras 2.0 comes in, and things get really meta.
The man, the myth, the brand all become one. Surfing and designing simultaneously, wearing a wetsuit that's basically a walking portfolio of his work. This is Aivaras taking his own advice, embodying the brand he's created.
He's turned himself into a living, breathing design project. I have to admit, it's a pretty bold move. Is this performance art? A commentary on the always-on nature of design. What's your take on this whole Aivaras 2.0 persona?
It's definitely a statement. Think about it. In today's world, designers, especially those as successful as Aivaras, are expected to be more than just, skilled professionals. They're expected to be thought leaders, influencers, even brands themselves. Aivaras 2.0 is him playing with those expectations.
He's not just designing anymore. He's performing the act of design, blurring the lines between his work and his life. And from what the bio says, his fans are eating it up, calling him the first designer to successfully surf while designing.
That's Aivaras for you. Bold, audacious, and more than a little tongue-in-cheek. But that's part of what makes him so fascinating.
Yeah.
He understands the power of a good story, a carefully crafted persona.
And whether you think it's genius or just plain extra, you can't deny that it's attention-grabbing. He's made himself impossible to ignore. Okay, so we've got this incredibly successful designer, a personal brand that's practically a legend, and a constant pushing of boundaries. But what's the takeaway for the rest of us? What can we learn from Aivaras' story, besides the fact that maybe we should all invest in a good wetsuit?
It's about more than just the surfboard or the ink. Aivaras shows us the design is about more than just aesthetics. It's about storytelling, connecting with emotion, and building a brand that resonates on a deeper level.
So it's not just about what you design, but why you design it, and the story you tell through your work. It's about finding your own unique voice and not being afraid to turn the volume up to 11.
Exactly, and that's a powerful lesson no matter what field you're in.
It's like he's saying, yeah, I'm a talented designer, but I'm also a brand, a storyteller, an experience. And that takes, serious guts. It makes you wonder, what would Aivaras Bakanauskas even see if he were designing your personal brand?
That's the question, isn't it? What makes you unique? What's your story? How are you even sharing it with the world?
It's a lot to think about. We've gone from, baby Metallica fan to design maverick. From bread packaging to city branding, all while riding the waves of creativity. It's been quite a deep dive.
It has. And I think the biggest takeaway from Aivaras Bakanauskas' story is this. Don't be afraid to be bold, to experiment, to build a narrative around your work.
To find that perfect shade of blue that embodies both loyalty and freedom, even if it takes days of agonizing over color swatches.
Exactly. Because in the end, it's not just about the design itself, but the passion, the story, the experience that you create around it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, remember, embrace your inner Aivaras, find your wave, ride it with passion and a healthy dose of audacity, and never be afraid to leave your own unique mark on the world.
And who knows? Maybe someday, even your grandma will know your brand.